Hello and welcome to Pest Perspectives episode 71. And this week there's a lot of confusion this week as to who was coming on. A hot contention between Jim and Daniel Lucas. So what happened was, everyone, for some reason, I've been doing all sorts recently with dates and everything, and I was chatting to him about the podcast on the 7th of July, and I somehow just put him for this week. And Jim messages me on WhatsApp, well, are we still having it? I was like, I've messed up here. I'll fix it. So I fixed it. But yeah, so this week we've got Jim England on, but also, just so everyone knows, the podcast is now sponsored by Powered Now. They kindly help sponsor the podcast because I love doing it, and I really do love doing it. It's not free to run. This software costs a few £100 a year. I've got a new microphone. You can see it there. It's one of them ones I use on Instagram and stuff. I think it's better. I had a blue. I've still got my blue Yeti, but I don't like them. But so Powered Now, they're a job management software system. If anyone wants to check them out, they do. You can do all your normal pest reports on them as well. So there will be a link in the bio after, but not during. Facebook doesn't like that, so I don't drop links in there. And just to follow up on Beauties and Beasties last week, you announced that Pest Perspectives podcast is going to be at Pest. So just to let you all know, as he didn't really go into what I was doing or anything, it's going to be on the seminar floor. I don't know which level it is, or I'm not sure, but it's booked in for 3:15 p.m. till 4 p.m. So if you're still there, there'll be a live debate panel. I'm still forming the panel, and discussions will be beyond common pest control industry related problems. But so more news on that in the future. So this week we have on Jim England he's the CEO of Protex. Have I said that right?
That's correct, Shaun. Protex with an X, yeah, because there's a few similar sounding names out there, ending with C or with T, so yeah, we're Protex with an X. So based in the London area, but work all over, up and down, Scotland, wherever there's birds. Oh, sorry, the dog's barking in the background. That's Betty. Right. She's probably seen a squirrel in the garden, so she's on the payroll as well.
So how are you doing anyway?
Well, let's just say I'm glad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of sunshine, but last week just had to, a couple of days, we had to just call it off. I think I'm getting old. Just the heat, you know what they say?
No, it was ridiculous.
Oh, it was so hot, and especially in the area that we were working. We was working on a plant deck of a hospital. Yeah. So you've got all the air cooling machines, and they're pumping out hot air, which it was we just no, you know what? It's like any inclement weather where it's too hot, too windy, too icy. You have to just cool it off, you know. Exactly. So we had a couple of days of just not doing a great deal really, apart from sitting in front of the fan. Still got my little fan here. But
I haven't put mine down here today because I think I can cope today. I can.
Yeah, no, it's a lot better.
Week, though, when I'm hot, people see me rubbing my head over a towel. I'm not bothered. Yeah. Even on video, I'm not. You know, you're hot.
Yeah, no, it was scorching. But yeah, no. So yeah, it's been a busy year so far. You know. Thankfully, lots of work coming in, so can't complain. You know, never complain of being too busy. I did once. I remember years ago when I first started, and I was like, I just wish this phone would stop ringing because it was at the time just really busy, and I was on my own. Yeah. And be careful what you wish for because it stopped ringing, and I went for a couple of weeks of really, really quiet. Sort of, I was thinking, blimey, you know, it was a fledged, just started out, and so be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's a good tip. That is. It is. So, do you want to tell people how you got into the industry? Kind of how you got.
Yeah, I mean, in a kind of, I mean, I never it wasn't anything that was ever on my radar, as a young man. It was, I left school at 15, actually. I didn't really hang around for too long at school. It wasn't my thing. And my dad had a stone cleaning business. We used to restore old buildings. And I did that for about the first 6 years after leaving school. And recession kicked in. This was in 91. So giving away my age now. So in fact, this is podcast 71, and that's the year I was born. So it's rather apt.
Okay.
So so I did the stone cleaning for about 5-6 years, and then Dad said, "Look, there's no work. People weren't spending money getting their buildings cleaned." So my brother went off and became a London taxi driver, did the knowledge, and drove a black cab. And I joined the London Fire Brigade. And I thought it would be really exciting. I suppose, thankfully, in a way, it's not exciting because really you don't really want to be active, because that means that obviously, you're dealing with, people that are in danger, or their properties are burning or whatever. So, but, I was 21 and I wanted a bit of excitement, a bit of adventure, and it just wasn't for me. It was a lot of sitting around. And so I then decided also to become a London cabbie. Drove a black cab, did the knowledge, drove a black cab, and but always with the view to using it as a platform to do something else. And quite late in life, my dad got involved in the pest control industry, just by a chance conversation with someone. And I was chatting to him one day, and he said, "Oh, you'd love it," because when we were growing up, my dad would take us. We used to have ferrets. We'd go out catching rabbits. We'd go out shooting, fishing. It was a bit like growing up with sort of Ray Mears or Bear Grylls as a dad, It was like, we'd go wild camping. I remember one time we went wild camping, and my dad picked a load of mushrooms, and he served them up to my brother and I, and we ate them. And we said, "You're not having any, Dad?" And he was like, No, go on, I'm all right for now. And he basically waited for about half an hour to see if there was any adverse reaction, which there wasn't. And then he had all. So we were the guinea pigs. So, in a very long-winded answer to your question, it was really a chance conversation with my dad. We were on a journey, and he said, "Oh, do you know what?" He said, "If I was a young man," I was 31 at the time, and he said, if I had my time all over again, he said, I would have definitely gone into pest control. He said, "You will love it." So that piqued my interest, and I went out with him to get some on-the-job experience. And probably like a lot of people in this industry, a lot of people you talk to in pest control, they're very passionate about it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the detective sort of side of it. You're problem solving,
Yeah, you are.
And I really enjoyed it. And then I realised quickly that it's quite involved. There's a lot of legislation. There's a lot of red tape, quite rightly, quite understandably. So I got in touch with the BPCA and did some training with them. And at the time, the main trainers that they were using were two fantastic trainers who a lot of people will know, Adrian Mayer being one of them. I don't know if you ever came across Adrian, but Adrian was very passionate about urination pillars. Mice can cause him. He'd get really excited about urination pillars. And another great trainer at the time was Clive Bowes. And Clive was, again, a fantastic trainer, brilliant guy, very knowledgeable. He was more onto the cockroaches, bed bugs, that sort of thing. He'd do a lot of trials, clinical trials, So if you had an infestation on the go, a big one, he'd say, "Oh, let me know and I'll come down. I want to try this new stuff out." He was brilliant. And so I did the training with them at the time, and I literally went from zero to just running my own business. I had literally no one but me. And I went out there, and just back then the advertising was done mostly pre-Google, Yellow Pages. And I took a gamble and spent a lot of money. And London is an expensive area at the time to advertise, because what they did was they broke the book down into lots of little segments, like a Trivial Pursuit, lots of little triangles, north, northeast, northeast, and so on. And you advertised in each area, and it was blooming expensive. But it got the phone ringing. And so I was in a good position because I was still driving the black cab, which was my primary source of income.
Yeah.
But I was then doing the pest control jobs in between. I'd get a few bookings and then go out and do a day of pest control. Yeah. And that helped it to grow quite organically and quite nicely. And it wasn't that stressful. And, I was using BPCA forums and NPTA and stuff going on. And, because I've always said, never guess in this game. If you don't know the answer to something, the worst thing you can do is try and guess, now you can just take a photo with your camera phone and do an image search on Google and it will tell you. But back then you'd have to get a sample, send it off to one of the suppliers.
I'll be honest with you.
Go on.
Although I love AI isn't that accurate when it comes to bugs. No.
Is it not? No, I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of mistakes.
Really?
It calls bed. If you put in a little black dot thing, a lot of it comes up as bed bug.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good tip.
It's not currently very accurate. So,
right. Yeah. Well, like I say, at the time, none of that existed. Back then, none of that existed. I remember I turned up at a job and they said, "Oh, it's German cockroaches. We had them last year and they're back again." Okay. And I turned up and I saw these things buzzing around. And I thought, well, that's not a German cockroach, but I wasn't sure what it was at the time. Yeah. And sent a sample off and it came back. And it turned out it was a wolf borer. Living in damp timbers. So, but yeah, no, it was... So, yeah, really, in answer to your original question, how did I get into it? It was just really a chance conversation with my dad, and I've always taken his advice. He's been a great mentor over the years. Yeah. I took his advice and like they say, never really looked back. It's a great industry. There's some amazing characters in this industry, some great people. I think you're becoming a character within the industry.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, for all the right reasons. What you're doing here is great. You're spreading, the word, the gospel of Shaun.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it helps people. But,
yeah, I think it does.
Yeah. It's general idea. So yeah. Also, another question: did your dad work for someone, or did he have his own company?
No, so what happened was my dad was he'd given up working for himself in the stone cleaning industry. Yeah. And he was actually doing maintenance for a care home. And one day the guy came up from it was Rentokil, to be honest, at the time, to do an inspection, and they were doing their rounds and walking around, and he was chatting to my dad, and my dad was very knowledgeable, and he said to my dad, "Oh, have you worked in the industry?" And my dad said, No. I've just, he's always been very well read on anything to do with wildlife. You'd be watching a program and there'll be some, antelope with twisty horns, and he'll say, "Oh, that's a kudu," or something obscure. And this guy said, "Oh, well, at the moment I think we're recruiting, and I think you'd like it." So initially my dad worked for Rentokil. Then he went to work for a small family business in North London, East London, North London. And then I started out, and then when I got into it, I needed to employ someone. I needed a second technician. Yeah. And at the time, he said to his customers, because he was very popular with his customers, and they were like, "Oh, see you in a few weeks' time." And he was like, "Oh no, I'm going to work with my son." And a lot of people said, "Oh, well, give us your details and we'll come over to you." And he said, No, we're not doing that. And we never poached not one single client, obviously. Didn't want to grow the business like that. I'm not trying to sound holier than thou, but that just wouldn't have been very sporting.
Right.
Yeah, he came to work with me, and he worked with me for a number of years, and then obviously older age and ill health, he had to sort of knock it on the head. Okay. And as you know, the last time we were meant to have this, a few weeks back, Dad unfortunately ended up in hospital at it was literally about 10 minutes before we were due to go on, but no, so he didn't work for anyone. He didn't work for himself. No, he just went to work for a couple of, obviously Rentokil to start with, and then went to work for a smaller firm. And then he came to work with me, and he finished off his time working, I'll say with me as opposed to for me, so.
That's nice.
So it was good getting him on board, actually, because obviously, again, I was getting all his knowledge and his experience, and the customers loved him. He'd always come back and he'd say to me, I've got 20 quid in tips today, and I've been like, I've never had a tip in my life. I think they might have thought, oh, poor old boy, he was probably making 100 quid a week on tips. Should have docked his wages, really. but yeah, so we still obviously function very much as a pest control company, doing all the usual suspects. But then probably about 15 years ago, we started getting more into bird work as well.
Okay.
So
before we dive into that, can I just ask you, because I don't think you've updated your LinkedIn in a while.
I probably haven't, mate. No.
You are the vice president of the BPCA.
Former. I was a vice. I have served as vice president of the BPCA. So after I did my training with the BPCA, I wanted to get more involved in the industry, and so I had the opportunity to apply because the vacancy came up on the board, and I was fortunate enough to get voted in. And then I spent a year or so as a vice president. And then I felt like I'd done my time in some. I say I'd done my time. It was just, as you know, Shaun. There's never enough days in the week or hours in the day to fit everything in.
Well, I bet you wonder how I do the MPTA board, the business, and the podcast.
Exactly. I can imagine. It's like spinning plates.
It is.
You constantly, you're sort of trying to keep them all going. And I just felt that I wasn't giving it my full attention at the time. So I stepped down. But I had a great time and met some great people who I've kept in touch with over the years. And that was an interesting time, and I'm glad I did it. And I'm sure you're getting a similar, thing through your connection with NPTA. Who are, again, another great organisation.
Obviously on the board of directors, so you're helping a lot of. I've learned now. Because a lot of pest controllers think, when you go in, you don't know. Everything's so easy playing them, and it's not when you get to the other side. It's not, everything's not as simple. Because going in, you think, I can this, that, and you realise that it's a lot. It's not as easy as you think it's going to be, but I enjoy it. I do.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
It's good, and I think if you bring your passion to that role that you're doing, which you clearly do, then it's a win-win, isn't it? Because
when I done my interview, I always said to them that I always give my opinion, whether you like it, whether I know it's going to be popular or not.
What you see is what you get, eh?
I do bring things up, and they're like, I didn't see that. Things a different opinion. And because he says, we don't want the main thing he said was, we don't want a nodding duck. You just sit there and don't talk. I definitely talk.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, you got to be. I think you got to be like that just in life. Whatever it is you're doing. Just if you don't like something, don't hold back. Be polite, but I mean, how many times, I think it's maybe a British thing, but. You might be in a restaurant and the food isn't great, and the waiter or waitress comes over and says, "Oh, how's your food?" And people go, "Oh, yeah, it's great, yeah." But I won't. I'll say, "Well, actually, to be honest with you, it's not good." It's not brilliant, you know.
Yeah, I can't. Although I can do that on the ball, I've never done that. I haven't.
Oh, I've done
My
it plenty
dad,
of
though,
times.
oh, he will. He'll easily do it.
No filter, eh? Dad, good old dad.
He will, yeah.
Yeah, I've got one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, you are right. That is what British do. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's
but
great.
A lot of them, though, I've seen it happen. They don't know what to say to you when you do it. They have to go and get someone. Because no one ever says it.
The way I see it is you'd be doing a disservice to them if you didn't tell them it was bad, because how can they improve? Exactly. You know, if it's bad, it's bad. And if they've got it wrong, then, you know, then it's like credit where it's due. You know, if someone does a good job, if I turn up to look at a job that someone's done and the client says, well, you know, I'm not sure. And I'll look at it and I'll say, to be honest with you, they've done exactly what I would have done.
Yeah. You
know, but similarly, if it's bad, I'll say, you could have done it better. Maybe you could have done this, could have done that. Yeah. But no, I think you've got to tell people how it is, because otherwise, you know, you've got to be true to yourself. So
exactly. Yeah. Hello, Jason. Thanks for popping in, mate. And Adam, thanks for popping in. I've messed the algorithm. I messed the algorithm up. You see, usually I'm on a Tuesday. I've messed it up. A lot of people don't know I'm on, even though I've advertised it. So yeah, no, that's good. That is that, because I did want to mention it because you're on the you had it on your LinkedIn. You might want to edit that slightly and put former, because it does say
former, doesn't it? Or is there a date on there?
No, it just says I am the vice president of the British Press Control Association. Sorry. No, sorry. I left due to work commitments, but wish the board and association the best wishes. See, didn't read it properly.
See, it's all in the detail. Schoolboy error. Yeah, I'd be worried then.
Exactly.
But I wasn't doing a what's his name? The author. Oh God, politician. I think it was a politician.
Also reading your LinkedIn, I hear you've been on TV.
We did, you know what? We did a spate of TV stuff a few years back now. Probably did about 4 or 5 appearances on the BBC News, on the breakfast sofa. First time I went on, I'd never done any media stuff. And I got asked, would I like to go on and talk about a chap that had drowned a squirrel? He'd caught a squirrel. He'd caught a squirrel in a cage trap and he had drowned it. And quite rightly, he was prosecuted because his neighbours saw him do it and he got fined about 1,500 quid.
Okay.
So I got invited on. So I've gone down to the BBC. This was at Wood Lane at the time. This is going back a few years before it moved to Manchester. Yeah. And I'm sitting in the green room waiting to go on. There's another chap there, sat there with me. And he said, oh, what are you here talking? What are you going on to? Are you going on the sofa? And I said, yeah, I am actually. Yeah, just going on in a minute. He said, oh, so am I. What are you talking about? I said, squirrels. He said, so am I. Oh. And I said, oh, right, okay then. So he said, what do you do then? And I said, pest control. And he said, and his friendly demeanour changed instantly. He just went, so you kill squirrels? I said, well, if they go into people's homes, then we're obligated. You know, we can't release them. We have to, you know. And then they went, right, lads, you're on. I'm like, oh, no.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, like good cop, bad cop, you know. So squirrel lover, squirrel killer. I mean, it, and I'm trying to style it out, you know. But it was quite, funny when I look back on it. But then, yeah, we did a few...
Did you ask him though? What would you do if you had squirrels in your loft chewing up your wires?
I said, look, we if we've got squirrels in the loft, we're governed, you know, imported animals, etc. Blah blah blah. You know, I said we can't take them up the road and let them go because we'd be prosecuted. We're governed by legislation, you know. So yeah, basically, I did. What else did we talk about? Oh, super rats. I think there was a guy who'd caught a rat and he had a picture of it on like a litter picker. But when he's holding it by the camera like that, it looked like it was about 3 foot long, you know. Yeah. And then we did rats at Downing Street on the BBC ITV News at 10.
Okay.
And then we did a few programs. We did a program called Dirty Britain, which
Okay.
went out on ITV, and that was following us around for about 4 episodes over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then we also did a program with Sarah Beanie called Help My House is Infested.
Okay.
And we went to this one property, and this guy said he had a rat issue. And I said, how long have you had it? He said, well, since I've lived here, really. I said, well, how long you lived here? He went, 23 years. I was like,
wow.
I thought he was going to say like 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, you meet all sorts, don't you, in this game?
Well, yeah. I mean,
see every.
I mean,
go on, say.
Did you going on TV? Did it boost your business in work? Did you get any more work out of it at all? Or?
It's hard to say. I you know what? It can be a double-edged sword, because, like, you know, I remember one lady phoned up, and she said, "Oh, I saw you on the television. Do you get rid of squirrels?" And I said, "Yes, we do, madam." And then she launched into a load of abuse about what a horrible person I was. For, you know, so you got to be careful with anything like that, because it can be a good thing, but it can also blow up in your face, you know.
No, yeah, I get that. I would have just hung up. Did you hang up?
You what, mate?
Did you just hang up on that? I would have done.
Yeah, I might have goaded her a bit. No, I wouldn't have done. No, no, I would. Yeah, I think it was just like, yeah. So I'll put you through to our hanging up department. You know.
Yeah, just got to go to a new squirrel job. I've got to go. Bye.
I've got to go. We've got to rush on squirrels at the minute.
Yeah.
But funny enough, I live in quite an old house, and I had a squirrel getting in at the back there. There was some squirrels getting in at the back of the house.
Yeah.
So I popped up one of the old good nature traps, you know, and over about 4 days took out 7. So they chose the wrong house on that occasion.
They did. Good natures, I find, either work or, for me, I find they work or they don't, and I usually have more luck with the WCS traps.
With the Cania traps, I think, did the guy who made them pass away or something?
I've never had them. My friends got them, because apparently you can buy them second hand off eBay.
Yeah,
they are still on the trap approval order, but they don't make them anymore. He said they're really good.
I'm not sure if the chap. I think so. I think they were Canadian, and I mean, maybe some of your viewers or listeners will know the answer to that one.
They probably do.
Yeah, I heard that maybe he passed, and maybe the business folded under that. I don't know.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but
they were brilliant, Shaun. Absolutely brilliant. Easy to set, and there was no ambiguity with that trap. It was pretty lethal.
Yeah, I mean, he said he says it's still on the trap approval list. You can use it. Just that you've got to find some second hand if you want them.
Yeah, it's a shame. There you go. Maybe someone listening might pick up the mantle and start reproducing, because they're quite a simple design.
Yeah,
they're not that, you know, they're not that complicated. They're very easy to set.
Yeah.
So, you know, but
we use WCSs and Fen traps.
Fen traps,
yeah. Still get used to the old fingers. I'm not broken anything, but they're trying to set them sometimes.
Yeah, you got to watch what you're doing. Got to stay focused.
You definitely have. So
you got to make sure as well to remember to take off the safety catch and all. Done that before.
Yeah,
I think everyone's done that.
Because I put them in the quill boxes as well sometimes. And what I do is I get a little screwdriver. Once it's set in there, then I do it like that.
You flick it off.
Yeah. But,
wise move, I think.
Yeah, but so how did you go from obviously working with your dad to expanding the business? Do you have a lot of technicians that work for you doing? Because you mentioned you do all kinds of pest control.
No, so we do general pest control. And like I say, the bird side of it was the thing that really I've been really focused on now for probably about the last 15 years. So the bird side of it is something that we started to get inquiries about bird work, and we started doing it. And you know, I know self-praise is no praise, but we found that we were good at it. Then we got in touch with some of the big national firms and inquired if they were looking for any subcontractors, and we worked with the two big names out there for a number of years. And then about 5 years ago, I stepped away from both of them because it just wasn't working out for us. It wasn't a good mix, I felt. So what we do now is we work with a lot of we get our own work organically for our own customers, but we do a lot of work with a lot of, you know, companies out there, from sort of sole traders through to, you know, bigger companies that might employ 20, 30, 40, 50 staff. But obviously we go in under their banner. You know, we don't turn up as Protex, so the vans aren't signed, so we don't turn up in a signed van because that just wouldn't be practical. And so if you gave us a lead and said, "Oh, Jim, look, I've got this client who's got a bird issue. It's a warehouse that I look after. Could you come and have a look at it for us?" We turn up and I say, "Oh, hi, my name's Jim from Oakham Pest Control." And we go in effectively as part of your organisation. So you
got some praise there.
Oh, thank you, Adam. Cheers, mate. Very nice. I've paid him a lot of money to say that. He's sitting next to me. But no, like I say, so. And what we do as well, Shaun, is we obviously we don't discuss anyone's business outside of. So if we look at a job, I mean, it happened only a couple of weeks ago. We looked at the same job for two companies, and I told both companies, look, I'd already looked at it for one company, and then a second company contacted us and said, look, I've got this job at this location. I said, I've already looked at that, and they were like, oh, who for? And I said, well, I can't say, but it's another pest control company. And what we did was we said, look, this is our recommendation and this is our cost. Whatever way you want to sell it, whatever way you want to mark it up, we're not interested. That's nothing to do with us. Obviously one company won it, one company didn't. Ultimately we got it because we were looking at it for both companies. So what we do, if you called us up and said, look, Jim, I've got this job, can you come and look at it? What we would do is, like I said, we'd turn up under your banner, look at what's needed, look at what access is needed. Is it ropes? Is it MUPE? Is it tower? Is it whatever? We would then put together effectively like a package. So, right, Shaun, if we was doing that job for ourselves, if we were going direct to the client, we'd charge them 5K. This is all hypothetical, but we'd say it's about a 5K job. We'll do it for you for 4. If you price it at 5.5, you're still being reasonable and competitive. So, you know, basically you effective and you haven't got to get involved other than just making that initial passing on that initial lead. And what we have had on several occasions, and again, this isn't trying to sound holier than thou, but we'll be on one building working and the neighbouring property, the facility manager might come out and say, oh, we've also got that issue. Can you give us a cost? We don't then go in with a Protex card. We say to that person, well, look, give us your email and I'll get the office to message you. And I'd call you up and say, Shaun, listen, you know, we're doing number 1 Smith Street. The company number 2 want the same job doing. Here's the guy's details or the lady's details. Give them a call. The the way I see it, two things. One, we would never have generated that lead were we not doing that job for you.
Yeah.
And secondly, if you come back a few days later to check on your job and we're hanging on ropes on the building next door, you might be, oh, all right, lads, that's a bit of a coincidence, you know. So, you know, and obviously you're going to reward us the work anyway. Okay, we wouldn't make quite the profit that we'd make if we was doing it direct, but you know, it's fair, isn't it? You know.
I like that because I don't know how the world works, but I imagine there's a lot of companies that would just do it for their own company.
100%, 100%. Yeah. I think the key to any, whether it's business or whatever it is you're doing, just don't be greedy. You know, just you know, everyone can have a share of what's out there, but just don't kick the backside out of it. You know.
Exactly. So, what kind of when you do this stuff for companies and you work with them, what kind of work are we talking? We're obviously talking
literally. It can be both domestic and commercial. It can be like a small balcony, or it could be a block of flats with 100 balconies, you know, or it could be a large warehouse facility or whatever, you know. I mean, the other advantage as well.
Yeah.
The other advantages as well is if, for example, as I've said, we're a general pest control company as well as doing bird control. Now, again, if we turned up at a site to do a bird job and we noticed that the perimeter boxes were looking a bit shabby, which is an age-old favourite, a lot of people try to win business by going, oh, look at the state, there's a cobweb in there. Then basically, you could end up losing that client because the company that have come in to do the bird job have also nicked your general pest control contract. Yeah. You know? So, you know, we would always, like I say, just, you know, be fair and open. But yeah, it can be like a small balcony. I mean, obviously, you've got to look at where the job is in relation to where we are. So we're based in the southeast. Yeah. So it wouldn't be viable to go to Leeds to do one balcony. But next week I've got to look at, not next week, the week after, you know, I'm going up to Scotland, going up to Darlington, going up to Cheshire, Stockport, to look at bird jobs because they're quite large installs, you know. So it would be, you know, staying away from home for a few days, you know, and I'm still very much on the tools, you know. I couldn't sit in an office and do admin. I'd last probably not even a day. You know?
You have someone do that for you then in the office?
Yeah. I've 2 or 3 people doing admin. Because I'm not an admin person, you know. If I was working from home, honestly, I'd be like sitting here now in front of a computer, and I'd be thinking, do you know what? I think I'll cut the grass, you know, or I think I'll clean the windows, or, you know, do anything other than the admin task. Yeah. So that wouldn't work for me. I'm not very good at admin, to be fair. So
no, I don't know what I mean. Obviously, the closest I've got to knowing what it's like to work from home is when I've done an online seminar and you sit there with them talking to the seminar, not course or whatever. That's the
speed awareness I did last.
Did you?
Yeah. But I was doing like 24 in a 20. I mean, I'm not belittling it, but yeah, I was doing 24 in a 20.
It's a bit harsh.
So it is a bit. I mean, you know, and this was on a 3-lane road in London, 3 carriages wide, bus lane, and then dual carriageway. Yeah. It was on Maida Vale, basically, if you know London. No, and I was going north towards Swiss Cottage on the and it was I was doing 24 in a 20 and the camera got me.
I bet in London they've got 0 tolerance in London. It's all about making that money.
Yeah, well, like I say, I mean, in a former life, I did drive a black cab, and I'd be absolutely they've just pretty much shut every thoroughfare or road, You know, I mean, I don't know how it's meant to improve, you know, the traffic and the air quality. I mean, again, people who know London, you've got Kingsland Road, Shoreditch, which takes you down through Bishopsgate and straight over London Bridge. It is literally one road. You don't turn left or right. Okay. It's one road.
Okay.
And the other week I had to go to the other side of London Bridge, but to get there I had to turn off and go all around Whitechapel, over Tower Bridge, then do a load of messing around on the other side. So where I would have probably done a mile, I've probably ended up doing 3 miles. And what would have took me 10 minutes took me 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So how that's meant to improve.
I've heard this through people that talk that work in London in pest control as well, and this is it's terrible.
It's the worst part of the job in London, I would say. It's the worst part of the job is getting from A to B and parking. People don't realise how expensive it is to park. It's phenomenal. You know, like in some places, like Islington or places like that, it can be something ridiculous. Like I'm kid you not, you'll put 10 minutes on the phone, and it will be like literally almost £1 a minute.
Wow. See, I've heard that. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and stuff, and some of the businesses just they don't give you points, do they? Or some people just park on double yellows because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Pay the fine.
I mean, years ago they used to wheel clamp in London, but they stopped that now.
And they just
it's
cheaper to pay the fine.
Well, it's actually more economical because let's say you're doing a rope job where you've got 2 technicians working on ropes. You can't say to one of the lads, well, look, you carry on working and I'll go and move the van. You've got to both obviously stop at that point. So it's like a buddy system, you know.
Yeah.
And so you then could spend 20 minutes, half an hour driving around, literally, to find a new parking space. And you've got to do that every 2 hours. So in actual working hours, you could end up losing 3 or 4 hours in a day. Yeah. So it's just, it's just, you know, more economical, believe it or not, to get a parking ticket than it is to pay for the parking and all the times that you'd have to keep moving it.
Exactly. That's what I've just seen a few YouTube videos. Like I watched Daniel Asheville.
Who's that?
No, Asheville. It was Asheville Aggregates.
Right.
He doesn't do aggregates now, but he used to just park on the double gunners and pay the fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's like you see all these supercars, don't you? Like the rollers and the Bugattis and stuff, and they just get a ticket.
Exactly.
Park up outside Harrods and just get a ticket. You know. But,
so I'll just skip on to something else. So obviously, you've got rope access. Your firm does rope access. Do you do the rope access? Are you trained up in it as well?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I say I am. My ticket at the moment, recently, I've got to renew because it's a 3-year ticket with IRATA, and it's a week of. Well, most centres will do 4 days of intensive, and the 5th day will be the assessment.
Okay.
But from when my ticket most recently expired to now, there's just been not enough days in the week to just get out there and do a week of, like, literally it'd be like taking a week's holiday, you know. Yeah. There's just not enough time in the calendar at the minute. So, but yeah, later on, in a few weeks' time, I'll be getting reevaluated again to you know, get my ticket back up to speed, up to date, and but yeah, so it's an industry that's always evolving. So that's why, you know, every 3 years they get you in to reevaluate. So
is that for, obviously, when you do rope access, is that for jobs that wouldn't allow for scaffolding, or you couldn't get it up? Is that like, say, I don't imagine if you had a prison, I don't think scaffolding would go down well, would it?
No, we've done a few prison jobs as well, but that was for drone netting. But no, that was MUPE access. But yeah, so what happened was, with the rope side of things, up until about 15 years ago, if we got a rope job, if we got a job that required rope access, we would
Yeah.
basically call up and get some guys down on ropes. But what we found was that they were great at rope access. I mean, they'd get you up the north face of the Eiger, but they were generalists. So one minute they're cleaning windows, the next minute they're doing cladding, next minute they're doing concrete repairs, next minute they're glazing, whatever. And then you'd give them a crimping tool and a hog ringer and a barrel strainer, and they would be like, what do I do with this? So we thought, oh God, we're going to have to, I think, take control of this ourselves. And that was what prompted us to start doing it in-house. So we don't generally get involved in stuff that isn't bird related. Once in a blue moon, we might have an existing client who says, oh, look, can you help us out? We've got a problem with this. It's not bird related. It might be that a vent cover has blown off or something, but few and far between. Like 99.9% of what we do on ropes is always a bird job, you know. So whether it's netting, spiking, whatever, pin and wire, whatever, so we don't generally do anything other than bird control really on ropes, but but that's what keeps us sort of focused, so
because I would call that a speciality within bird control. I would. And that's the thing, like I say, when you come to us to do one, if you, like I said, if you had a job, Shaun, that, and I'm sure probably in the future you will do, you'll come to us and say, Jim, we've got this job. It doesn't go beyond us. We're not subbing to a third party, so you come to us and the buck stops with us. We don't then pass it on because, it just becomes unviable. I mean, I know when we've done jobs in the past for companies, it's gone through about 4 or 5 people before it's got to the end user. You've got the client, they've gone to a cleaning company, the cleaning company have gone to an FM company, they've then got hold of the people that they use for their bird work, and then they've come to us, and every time that happens, you've got another layer of cost and another layer of potential miscommunication. I remember previously, we've turned up to do jobs and we've been told one thing, and when we get there, the scope of the work is entirely changed. It's like, you're doing those ledges there, and you're doing that bit there, aren't you? And you're doing that bit over there. And we're like, not as far as I know. As far as I know, we're doing that bit there. So that's the other thing. The less people, the less chance there is for, like you turn up at a job and it might not be a rope job. It might be, powered access, like a mute. And then the client says, where are the barriers? And you're like, we thought you was getting the barrier, so it's better that we come and look at it with you, or so I mean, I've got to go and look at 2 jobs tomorrow for other pest companies, both in the sort of London area, but I'd rather go and look at it myself than rely on Google Earth or some photos that someone sent, because it don't always tell you the full picture. No, it don't.
You'll get a picture of the top of a building with the area that they want working on, but then down, it might be a domestic property like solar panels or something, but then at the back of the house there's a great big glass conservatory. But do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you don't see that until you turn up on the day, and it's like, well, we can't do this because no one told us about that.
Exactly.
So that's why it's always better to go and look at it yourself.
No, definitely. And that's what Clive was on about last week with bee removals, all about the survey, going to have a look. See, he was at a job in London where from outside it looked great. The chimney looked great, but when you got inside, chimney, and there's still on stills, and the actual honey was on the asbestos. So he said it's a complicated job. Yeah. But from outside, it looks like it's a proper full chimney. It wasn't.
Yeah.
He said, so that's all about the survey. He said, you wouldn't have seen
totally
that from a photo.
100%. Yeah. But but yeah, no. So yeah, like I say, I prefer to go and look at stuff. I mean, we don't charge the survey. You know, we'll come and look at it for you. Sometimes we might result to doing, you know, like a FaceTime call with the client if it's you know, if it's practical.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of.
So you're not scared of heights then?
No, I've worked at height, you know, like I say, with the, you know, when I first started, so I first started work 1986.
Yeah.
And back then, health and safety wasn't a patch on what it is now.
1986?
You know, 1986, I started work 40 years ago. So, you know, so it was a bit of a free-for-all, really. Even then, you know, like there was no PPE, there was no such thing as a risk assessment method statement. You know, I mean, and I'm talking big jobs. I mean, we would turn up at a, you know, like a huge facility, and you'd be in, like, on a hot day like today, you know, sort of trainers and shorts and a vest. And, you know, you just got on with it. It's mental, you know.
There was no health and safety, was there? Well, I imagine obviously, especially rope access, and
well, anything like that. I mean, scaffolding was really dodgy. I mean, my mum's dad, unfortunately, he was only 48. He was working on a construction site. This was back in 1970. He was working in a rope cradle. We used to use the old rope cradles years ago, and he got in it, and it hadn't been rigged up properly, and it hadn't been weighted correctly. He just got in it without really checking, because there was no safety checks like there is now. You know, there was no tag systems where, you know, it says do not use. And he unfortunately, he fell about 6 floors. So he fell probably about 25 meters, probably about 20 meters, which is a long way to fall. About 70, 80 foot in old money. And he survived, but he had brain damage, and he died about a year later.
Oh, no.
So, you know, so when people go, health and safety, it's a bit over the top. But I was on a job a couple of years ago, and we were there doing a survey, and a scaffolder, nothing to do with us. It was the client who'd got different trades in, and I'd just left the job, and that poor chap, it was start of January. It was the first day back after the Christmas break, about 4th or 5th of January, up in London, and the poor guy went to the edge to look to see about where they were going to be scaffolding, and he slipped and went over, and unfortunately that was that.
So, you're supposed to be clipped on there, aren't you?
Exactly. I mean, he climbed through a guardrail, which is obviously there for a reason.
Yeah.
They don't know. I don't know what if there was there would have been an inquest, and obviously the health and safety executive would have been involved. I don't know the full details, but you know, it could have been ice. It was a cold day. Obviously, it was January. It was about the 5th of Jan. So he, poor chap, he was only sort of mid-50s, I guess, and he just straight over, and that was that. You know, so I mean, fortunately now we're much better off with, you know, the safety measures that are in place. But I think a lot of these accidents happen due to negligence, people just cutting corners, unfortunately, you know. But yeah, so shame.
I imagine some sites you go on, you have to do like a whole health and safety training.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I'm sure you told a story on the Beauties and Beasties that I remember.
Go on.
Something like you did hours and hours worth of training. You had to let you go on this big scaffold, and the site agent just popped up with no safety gear on to see you.
Oh yeah, that was on a hospital job. Yeah, that was up in North London. We was doing a hospital job, and yeah, it was. I won't mention any names, but it was a big organisation, and and quite rightly. So with rope access, you have what's called like a manifest of all your equipment, all your kit, and every single item, pretty much every item, is serial numbered with its own individual unique serial number. So your harness, you know, your descender, your backup device, it'll all be even the carabiners. Yeah. And we spent about 2-3 hours in his office, and he got my office to email him a copy of our manifest.
Yeah.
And he wanted to check that every single item that we had was listed and And that's his right. He's absolutely fully entitled to that. And then we went up onto the roof to start, and we were installing some bird point. And my colleague was over the side on the ropes. I was connected to the anchor point, connected via a device called a Grion, which is it's an adjustable lanyard, for want of a better word.
Okay.
And then literally, I swear to you, I mean, honestly, this guy sort of almost tapped me on the shoulder, and I'm like, and I've looked around, and he stood right on the edge, 1 foot on the parapet, looking over the side. And how are you getting on? And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, what? And I said, we've just spent 2 hours going through health and safety, and you're up in there breaking every rule. He said, well, I'm the manager of this site. I said, I don't care who you are. I said, you can't stand there like that, mate. I said, no. You have to stand 2 meters back minimum. And he weren't happy about it, but I was like, no, mate, you can't have it both ways. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy.
But then I've also done health and safety, like I've sat and watched videos, and a big, massive national building firm. Yeah. Again, won't say who, but we had to do before you could go on the site, you had to do a series of videos. It took about 2 hours. You had to watch about 20 videos. And it showed you like the workplace and people doing stuff. And there was a guy cutting some threaded rod, not wearing any safety goggles or anything. Yeah. There was another one with a mobile tower in the middle of a room, and there was no outriggers on it. There was another guy in a cherry picker in a mute, not wearing a harness, in a boom, not a scissor, in a boom. And there was another one with a guy wearing like steel toe cap boots. And all the metal was exposed because like all the fronts had come off the boots. Yeah. And I emailed him after having spent 2 hours watching these videos and said, look, if you're going to put videos out there, you got to get it right, Yeah. And apparently the proverbial poop did hit the fan on that one.
Did it?
But if you're going to preach it or you're going to do it, then you've got to stand by your, what you're putting out there.
Yeah, you definitely have. It's a big game though, health and safety, isn't it? Money, all these courses people do and everything, and for a company to get it wrong, because they must have made their own videos. So yeah.
So like I say, like I mean, like people make mistakes, but there was 4 glaring mistakes in this, probably about 20 videos that you had to watch. Yeah. Covering all different elements of the workplace and all the things that can and can't go wrong. But it was quite funny because I turned up at the site and the guy asked me, "Oh, have you done the videos? Have you done the enrollment?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "But it wasn't very good, to be fair." I said, "I spotted a few mistakes that I messaged your company about," and he was like, "Was that you?" I was like, what?
"Oh, was it that quick then?"
And he went, "Oh, this was a few days." He went, "Oh my God." He said, "Yeah." He said, the health and safety people were hauled over the coals for that. And quite right, So,
I'm surprised no one noticed before that. Because I think a lot of people watch health and safety videos, just nod their heads, I think.
Yeah. Well, they're probably like this, probably sort of next.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a minefield, isn't it? It's like, anything like that. HR, health and safety. It's the age we live in, and like I say, it's a lot better than what it used to be. Well, it was non-existent when I started, to be honest.
Oh, it was some of the things when my dad used to be a bricklayer when he was a young man.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he said that there's some of this, like when you get up a building, you'd be walking like what they called
a wheelbarrow
full of bricks right up a plank onto a building. It's just the way it was, he said.
Well, did you ever see that video with John Noakes from Blue Peter years ago when he went up Nelson's column?
Did they?
Go on YouTube. Yeah. Go on YouTube. So, I mean, Blue Peter, obviously, I don't know if it's still around, is it? There's a kid's show.
It is actually,
Yeah. Well, it's been around for donkey's years. You know,
has.
it's been around, I think, since the 60s or even maybe earlier. I don't know. But in the 70s, they had a presenter on there called John Noakes.
Yeah.
And all my fellow sort of Gen X age group will remember John Noakes, Leslie Judd, and Peter Purvis. They were the three main presenters back then. And they basically they basically on Nelson's Column, Trafalgar Square, they basically lashed ladders like a steeplejack around it. But when it gets to the top, it goes out on because you've got the cornice that juts out that Nelson stood on, and it goes out on an angle, probably like 45 degrees. And he didn't realize, and he's got no harness on, no safety line, nothing. And he's climbing up a wooden ladder that's tied on with rope. So Google John Noakes, Nelson's Column.
I will.
But also look at scaffolding, 1950s, 1960s. And it's exactly what you've just described with your dad, with wheelbarrows full of bricks and no handrails, no safety.
He said, I never had no accidents, but he says, I could have done, couldn't I? You know?
Even when you go abroad, I mean, I was in Greece about 3 years ago. And some of the construction sites that you go past, you think, God, we'd never get away with that in England.
No,
you know, it's
just all over you.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll say it again, it's probably a double-edged sword. I mean, maybe people don't fall off because they know that there's never going to be a handrail, whereas we always think there's going to be a handrail. Yeah. And if there's not, and in fact, that actually happened years ago on a job that my dad was managing for a construction company. Someone had gone up and modified, basically taken off a handrail on a scaffold, so they could pass stuff up easier. And a guy just walked straight off the end because he was carrying a box and he just didn't realise, and you know, and fell to his death. So you know, So
I'm more careful in general because when you broke your knee twice, you kind of.
Is that what you've done?
Yeah. I broke my knee twice. Yeah.
Same knee.
The first time it was the left knee tibia fibia. Second time it was the kneecap of the left knee. So my leg's quite strong now. I go gym and that. So
I've seen you doing all your squatting and stuff.
Yeah, not bad.
And you're still managing with the injury.
Yeah, because you can do it. You know. But obviously you got to appreciate that I've got quite good strength. I mean, I started out and I could barely lift anything. Obviously, I rehabbed myself. Yeah. And I'll be honest, the second time round, the first time I lost a load of weight, and then I just stacked it back on mentally. And then I did it the second time. And since the second time, I've been gym focused. Yeah. Not gym the weightlifting, not you.
I know what you mean.
So I've not gone off course really since then.
Well, that's what I need to do, but it's just finding. I'll say it's finding the time. I mean, it's a bit of an excuse. I think you've got to make the time.
I even did an article for the MPTA on it, on fitness to do with mobility. You know, because of people, the job we do, you have to go in lofts, etc., and your mobility and all that. And last year, I think. Yeah, last year.
A lot of manual handling. You know, if you're doing bed bugs, you're moving all the furniture, the beds.
It all helps, like the gym does. It does. So I did an article on it for the MPTA newsletter. So I'm not sure how many read it or not, but I did that.
Oh,
I might do a new one this summer, maybe. But no.
Do it, So maybe gear it up around the industry. So, like, you know, lifting mattresses and bed bases, because some of them can be bloody heavy. Some of these big mattresses can weigh a blooming ton.
Well, they can. So, so yeah. I don't intend to do another break. I can't.
You don't what? No, God, no. I mean, I broke my femur. I ended up in hospital with 9 weeks with a broken femur.
I couldn't. If you're
going to break a bone, you might
I was in there for a week. I couldn't stay in there for 9 weeks. I'd have to get my missus to get me home.
I broke my femur, my wrist, my finger, my thumb, 3 ribs. I was just very accident prone when I was younger. That's the trouble when you've got a brother that's 5 years older and him and his mates, and they'd say, "Go on, I bet you won't jump out of that tree." You say, "I bet I will." And so yeah, I was always picking up injuries.
But, 9 weeks though in the hospital must have been torture.
I was only a kid. Yeah, I had my leg in traction. So you're literally laid in bed and your leg was sort of up at an angle, and you had weights. So you had like a pulley, and it was. And I had that for about a month, and then they X-rayed my leg and went, "Oh, we ain't set it properly. We've got to re-break it." So they had to re-break it and reset it. So I was another 5 weeks. Yeah, it wasn't good. So I think better ways of spending 9 weeks. Mind you, well, no, I shouldn't say. I wouldn't mind 9 weeks now. Not doing a great deal, but I wouldn't want it through that.
I thought that when I broke my brakes. I was bored after a week. I was bored. Everyone
Are you a gamer, Shaun? Do you play games or anything like that?
I don't so much anymore. I've got an Xbox Series X, but I did get bored of that too.
Yeah, I've never got into it, but yeah, I can imagine that would help though while away the time. But I think daytime telly would finish most people off.
Yeah, I don't watch actual normal TV. I watch like Netflix and YouTube and stuff. You get more adverts on that now than anything else.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah,
but yeah. So thanks for coming on, Jim. It's been good.
No, Shaun, I really appreciate the invite, and I feel very honoured that I've had the chance to sit here with you and have a chat.
Yeah, hopefully, it's good.
Got a few.
So, do you want to tell people if they want any bird to work with you, bird work wise, where to find you? And I will drop.
Yeah, by all means, if that's okay. Yeah. So we're Protex Pest. So you can email us info@protex protexpest.co.uk. The landline number is an 0208 number 361 7467. If you get any inquiries, like I say, total discretion. We don't, discuss anyone else's business with anyone. So there's complete and total, confidentiality. And we would never put images up on any of our social media unless we had prior consent, where it was like a collaboration, where if you said, we worked with Jim last week and, they came in and did this bird job for us, but otherwise we wouldn't put it up, because if we post something and the client sees it and he's like, hold on a minute, that's not Oakham Pest Control, and that's my building.
We
wouldn't do anything like that. But like I say, just or go on LinkedIn, search me, Jim England, Protex Pest, and if you go on to the amount of times I get people messaging me saying, Jim, what are your details? How can I contact you? Well, if you go into my your profile, there is all my contact details on there, including my mobile number. So you can just look us up on LinkedIn and you'll find us on there.
Yeah. Visit my website, it says here.
Yeah, www.protexpest.co.uk. Probably needs a little bit of a revamp now. Probably that was a few years ago, but it still does the job. But I appreciate the plug. Thank you for letting us do that.
No worries. It's all about sharing your knowledge in the podcast. I'm sure it will help a lot of people, because they might reach out to you and think, I'm going to try and see if I can offer anything bird wise.
Well, you think, Shaun? I mean, with regards to say, I don't know what the national average is for the treatment. What would you say is the national average cost for treating a wasp nest? Would you say up your neck of the woods? What, 100 quid, 80 quid, 75?
We charge 100 for that.
So say 100 quid, right? Yeah. So that's 100 quid. You call me up and say, Jim, I've got this bird job, and for a phone call, you're going to make 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
That's, to put it in context, that's 15 wasp nests, which is 3 a day. That's three wasp nests a day for Monday to Friday. And you've got all the headache of having to go out and get ladders out and get on your bee suit in a hot loft, or you can just pick up the phone and go, Jim, got a bird job here. Do you know what I mean? That sort of.
I'm going to make a page on my website for it.
Well, if you need any images for it, like any rope access images or any bird net installations that we've done, you're welcome to use them.
Oh, cheers. But yeah, I might make a page that way people know I can offer it. I won't put how it's done, but I'll just put we can do it.
Yeah. You know, it's like a lot of people out there, they might use companies to do fumigation, they might use field biologists, they might use heat treatment. You know, there's lots of scenarios where people subcontract.
I had heat treatment on a few weeks ago where Richard Barry had on. Don't know if you know him. Yeah, he was.
I don't know.
No, he just heat treatments.
You know,
he was on.
So what I say, you know, so yeah, there's lots of situations. It's not like you're doing anything underhand. It's just something that you don't offer, but you can still facilitate it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, mate. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Not at all. No, thank you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity, mate.
No worries.
I'll let you do the sign off, whatever way you do it.
Yeah, but thanks everyone for coming on. Next week, we will have Daniel Lucas from CSS Pest Services. And I won't get it wrong. Then the week after, something really interesting, people, if you're listening. There's a project in New Zealand called Wellington. It's called Wellington Predator Free 2050. And they're coming on from New Zealand. They are. Okay. It's a project to wipe in a certain area of New Zealand.
That's the capital, isn't it? Wellington.
Yeah, well, to wipe out the rats, the stoats, all sorts. And they've got members of the public, like literally, they've got hundreds of traps and systems down, actively wiping them out in parts. Because you're on about the natural birds, etc., are being wiped out. So they're wiping. Yeah, it's going to be a good listen.
It sounds ambitious, but yeah.
Oh, it is. It is ambitious, I tell you. But they've been working on it a long time. They have. They've actually convinced local residents to come into their gardens to and fro whenever they want. It don't cost no.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them what the pest control companies think to it, though, as well.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm going to. But yeah. So I've got
that sounds interesting. I'll try and tune in for that one.
Well, you're a busy man. Mate. They're always on demand if you ever want to listen to something. But yeah, so thanks everyone, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. Back to normal. Right. Thanks everyone.
Cheers, Shaun. All the best, mate. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, mate.